the most important skill I think a level 6 teacher would have would be able to prepare for class at a time so that they understand the content and they also understand the course of the class. This allows them to then be flexible with how they pace it and also be familiar with any questions that a student might have while teaching. Also, I think it's important to have a good ability to control the timing or pacing in such a way that a student who maybe wants to start talking about things in the beginning of class can sort of be ushered along to some of the later parts of class where there's more chance for them to extend or more chance for the student to have free talk. Level 5 and Level 6 have some basic structural changes. In Level 6, we've added in some new content. Specifically, we added in academic vocabulary. We also added in conventions, and we also added in Bloom's question stems. So what are these three things? Academic vocabulary is vocabulary that a student would encounter in a classroom setting. So to distinguish it from content vocabulary is generally only useful or applicable in that particular topic. But an academic vocabulary, like something like plot or theme or climax or something like that, that can be applied to all stories across all language arts. The next thing we added was conventions. Conventions replaced grammar, and grammar and conventions have a lot of similarities. The difference is conventions starts to talk about how sentences and paragraphs are structured. Basically, grammar is about being correct, and then conventions is about how you can sound more right, if you will. It's about sounding natural, using the correct words, the correct tone, and the right for the right sort of situation that you're in. The final thing is we've replaced sentence frames in Level 5 with Bloom's question stems. And so the main difference is that Bloom's is referring to Bloom's taxonomy, is that these questions are open-ended. Before, we had these sentence frames that was more of like a call and response. They could just memorize them. And for the Bloom's question stems, we hope that they use some of their higher order thinking skills and are able to speak freely upon a topic. I do feel there is enough opportunity for the teacher to extend on content. If the class has been paced correctly or there has been, the simple content has been gone through quickly, there is plenty of extension content that can be had at the end of the lesson. We generally keep some Bloom's higher order thinking skills questions at the end or some free talk of some sort. And that would be the time when you get to the final slides where the student can really extend on the topic that they've been covering, and you really get to see their creativity towards the end of class. The first step of preparation would be to read through the PowerPoint in and of itself and get an idea about what content is being taught and in what order it will be taught, and get an idea of how you should pace the class. Next, if there's anything you don't understand or anything that you're not familiar with, maybe go and Google it or look on Wikipedia and get some background knowledge of the Level 6 theme or topic. And then finally, if you can, look up what content they have learned in the previous lesson or two. And that way you can, A, be able to incorporate that prior knowledge into the lesson that you're teaching, and B, you won't try to teach something for a long time that they're already been taught or already familiar with. So for Level 6, the main overarching goal is that they go from learning to read in the lower levels, where they're finally able to read to learn. They're able to come up upon some content or some reading passage that they on a subject that they know nothing on, and through reading these articles, they are able to gain new knowledge. And so that sort of informs how we chose these topics. We try to choose topics that they would not be familiar with or they would not normally cover in the Chinese national education system. We also wanted to cover everything from social studies to science to language arts. So this was sort of the basis for some of the odder topic choices. They haven't studied it before, and we're also trying to teach them how to learn new things through reading. So the expected student growth, in my mind, for level 6 would be 1, reading. They should be able to start reading these fairly complex texts, and in the initial stages of level 6 need a lot of teacher help or guidance to be able to understand what's going on. And by the end of level 6, we hope that they can read these complex texts. It's on a subject that they've never touched on before, and they are able to, with sort of minimal teacher assistance, learn this new knowledge about these different topics. The second thing would be the Bloom's higher order thinking skills. In the beginning, when they're interacting with the teacher, we acknowledge that they might not be able to express themselves and have a lot of free thinking and wide-ranging conversations. But by the end of level 6, we really hope that they can learn how to think for themselves and express themselves freely and clearly, and not just sort of follow a path that's been laid down by the teacher or a path that's been laid down by the curriculum. I think this question maybe has 2 parts. In the beginning, of course, there might be some parts of level 6 that you're not familiar with. But by the time class rolls around, I hope, and we hope here at VIP Kid, that you've taken the time to either Google or Wikipedia or read something about this background topic, so that when you do start to teach the class, you are an expert at the subject matter and know everything that's being taught in the class. Level 6 UAs are very similar to level 5 UAs, with the major exception that we've cut math in level 6. And so you'll notice immediately that we're missing a section and math has been taken out. Similar to level 5, there will be like cross-textual analysis where we compare different readers across the text in the UA. But basically, it's the same UA structure and style that you've come to know and love at VIP Kid. The one thing I really wanted to emphasize with level 6 is that the students should definitely be given the ability to sort of talk freely and think freely and speak freely and have a natural dialogue with the teacher. While in other levels it was important to sort of stick, or more important, to stick with the content on the actual slide itself, for level 6 we really hope that the teacher and student can sometimes sort of go their own way and give the student the chance to use those Bloom's higher order thinking skills and really express themselves.